Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about what I learned this week, which in this case is React Native basics. The very basics of using React Native to write an app that you can run on Android, iOS, web, all that stuff. In particular, I want to talk about buttons, navigation, state, async storage or local storage, and also get into hooks, what they are and how they work. I'm going to try to reproduce what I did this week. I'm experimenting with my video format, if you can't tell from the past few videos. I'm trying different things. And this one, I'm going to throw stuff at the wall. For this particular video, I'm going to do one take. I'm just going to record this exactly as it is, do my best, and that'll be it for this week. And I'd like to keep that up if I can, because I'd like to do this every week, but I don't have a whole lot of time to edit. And in the past, I've really prized every second, every frame of the videos that I make, because I reason that in the modern world, everyone wants everything yesterday. But it's pretty common to have the tools that you need to watch things quickly if you want to watch them quickly, right? You can watch on 2x speed. You can watch by skipping through 10 seconds ahead. I do it all the time. I always watch videos faster than 1x speed, right? So if I'm editing my videos in such a way that they're all jumbled together and there's no more than 0.2 seconds of silence between my words, if people want to watch it faster, it might get too fast to understand. If people want to watch it slower, they have to listen to me slurring my words. I don't know. Maybe if people just want a relaxed pace, something to listen to in the background, in this case, because there's no real video yet, maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. I'm experimenting for sure. We'll see what happens. Either way, buckle up for perhaps a boring video. But it's the price we pay, experimenting. So, but for React Native, right? Let's get back to React Native. So like I said, pretty much a newbie to React Native, and I didn't really know what was going on. But in the past few weeks, I did get some experience with React itself, and that helped a lot coming back to this. And yeah, I guess we can jump in and get started and see how this works. So you're going to want to have yarn installed or npm. Either way, I think you have to do like npm install -g expo CLI. Expo CLI is the thing that lets you generate the React Native project. So yeah, they tell you to install it globally. I will say that I had issues when I did not do yarn add -g expo CLI. You should definitely do that if you plan on using yarn, because I ran into errors where I had installed it using npm, but yarn didn't see it for some reason. I don't know what was going on, but definitely install it with yarn as well. That might save you some errors. And either way, once you have that done, you can do expo init and give it a name. So we'll call it example React Native. And I think that's it. Okay, here we are. You have choices. I don't know what the bottom one is, but the top two are just blank. And then you have a tabs project that you can get into. I started with the tabs project, explored it a bit, and this is what I would recommend to you. Start with the tabs project if you want, or just go with the blank one. But don't get too caught up in the tabs. I would say try it out, break it a little bit, and then throw it away. Because for me, at least, when I'm coming into something like this and there's all this stuff already built, there's hooks, there's navigation, somebody else organized this in a way that makes sense to them, it's hard for me to understand the layers when I'm just looking at this finished product. It's like trying to figure out how to make a cake from a completely baked cake, right? You can't see that there are eggs in the cake when it's baked. So maybe a stupid example, but either way, you get started with something that works at least, and you can poke around and see what's inside of it. So you have to cd into the app that you generate, and then you could do yarn start. And then I'm going to hit W to open the web, but you can open web or Android. And I guess if you're on iOS and you have Xcode set up, maybe it'll give you that option too. Either way, it's going to launch us a web app. And we can see this tab application that it comes with. Again, you can get in here and mess with the screens and the text on the screen. So we have tab 1, tab 2. and a modal. But to me, I mean, I tried to make something out of this and I had trouble with it because it was tough to get my foothold on something that's already built. I like to do things very incrementally, so this really didn't work for me, so I'm just going to kill it. And then we can expo init yet again, example React Native. And I'm going to go with blank TypeScript because I think TypeScript, it's a little harder to get started with. It's a little extra effort, right? And there's more things that can go wrong, but I think it's totally worth it because it saves you in the long run tons of errors, right? And I'm coming from Flutter, where you have Dart, which is a strongly typed language, and the typing is just super helpful, right? It's worth it. I would say go TypeScript, but that's just me if you're new to this. And then there's probably people watching this who know a lot more about this than I do. And maybe I'm wrong. So if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm just sharing what I learned this week, right? So anyway, we get our blank application. And you just get this. Open it up to start working on your app. And you could just, type away. So the first thing that I wanted to do when I opened this was to get a button. So how we do that is you define a button and it gets mad at you because it doesn't know what a button is. But if you import button from React Native, there's your button. You're ready to roll. So buttons have titles. So we can say click me to do something. And we can also give it on press. Thankfully, VS Code has awesome suggestions, so it helped me out there. So I guess we get an event, and when we get that event, we'll just say console.log, I was clicked. And we have all kinds of errors, and I read online that if you get this going on, where the errors won't go away, sometimes you just have to restart VS Code. So just close it and open it again, and hopefully, yep, looks a lot better. So we'll do yarn web again, and we'll test our button. Yeah, I kind of doubt that anyone's actually still watching this if I post this without editing. But if you are, I appreciate you. And let me know what you think. So anyway, we got our button going. The second thing after that for me was I wanted pages, and I wanted to start navigating between pages. So I found navigation React Native. It's basically a couple packages that you install in a certain way. You have to be a little careful because web is very forgiving in ways that Android is not. So if you're used to programming in React, you'll get used to doing things like just typing text into elements, which I just did right here and it worked. Another thing you'll get used to is if you create a component, at least I'm in this bad habit of just creating a div for everything, right? So if I do that as well, it works fine. Change the way it looked, but it still looks fine. So I had this and I tried to run it on Android, and you get some error messages that aren't really that helpful. So I think it's worth mentioning at least and seeing what it looks like on Android. This might take a while to boot up, but we'll get back to that. So navigation. I think this is what we need. Okay, so it's going to tell you how to do it with Expo, with Yarn. I don't know if it matters that much if you do Yarn NPM or any of that stuff. Oh, I just killed it and it was trying to run Android. Wow. That's sad. Okay. We're back. And so I get this loading screen. It says bundling. Oh, I guess it's going. I always hit reload and rebundle it. Yeah, see, it gets stuck, I think. So I'm going to reload it. Stuck at 63%. That time it's unstuck, so we're good to go. Maybe not. Not sure what's going on, but you can hit R, reload. Oh, okay, I'm just really impatient. And anyway, I don't expect this to work because I'm trying to show you that it gets mad at us for using these divs. Divs are not cool on Android. So we delete the divs, we delete the text, and it should update and hopefully show us a real Android application. See, there we go. It didn't even show any errors, right? So don't make that mistake. It's really hard to catch, but you just have to remember the rules of not using just like random HTML on React Native and not just typing text at random, right? See, now we get some errors finally. And honestly, yeah, it doesn't tell you what line it is. Not super helpful. So you gotta be on the lookout there. Either way, we have something clicking, and I'm just gonna go back to web. I was clicked. Okay, so good. That works on Android too. So if we go back to web and we let's get into this navigation thing. So we need to do expo. I'm just gonna paste it. Whatever. Yes. So we're installing React Native screens, React Native safe area context. Alright, so that should be good enough to use our example code, hopefully. And we need a navigation container. So we're going to take our screen and put it in a separate function. All this stuff we're just going to return out of our home screen. And our app is going to become where the real action is happening with navigation. So we have our navigation container with nothing in it. And hopefully we can build now. Oop. And see, probably nothing. Can't resolve at React navigation /native. So it gets a little weird with the, maybe I have to restart it. Gets a little weird with some of this stuff. But anyway, you have to do yarn add at React navigation /native. So their docs tell you to install something and they missed a package. No problem. But tough if you're not expecting it, I guess. Took me a while to get that one, sadly. So we have our navigation container with nothing in it. Probably going to display blank screen, I would expect. And it has us, I also missed this, you have to do const stack equals create navigation container. If you don't do that, you can't keep going. So here's another one that we have to install. So we have to do yarn add at React navigation /native stack. And hopefully that's it as far as dependencies. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. TypeScript's angry. And then we have our stack. We should be able to do stack.navigator, stack.screen, name equals home, component equals our home screen function up there. And we can give it a title. So stack navigator, why is this angry? This is, I don't know, I see this everywhere and I don't think it makes a difference. So we're back, welcome. And then we have our click me to do something, which is nice. And on web, console.log ends up in, well, I thought it ended up here. Yeah, it does. There we go. So it's in the browser, not in the terminal. So yeah, we have our home page. That's a step. What if we want an about screen? Can we just add that? I think we might be able to. I guess views are kind of the div of this, where you can just throw them around, no big deal. Apologies, I have a cold. So we'll call this one about. Give it a title, about us. And about screen will be the component we use. So it's set up But how do we get there? Well, we have our button already, which is basically doing nothing useful. The home screen props should be getting navigator and something else. So I think it tells us this in the tutorial. Yeah, see, you get a navigation object and a route object. And again, this is like plain JavaScript, and TypeScript gets mad about this. I'm not sure what the fix is, honestly, off the top of my head. I think there's some kind of extension you can do. Let me check something. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste. I don't know where I found this, but if you're using TypeScript, native stack screen props. Okay, that's something you can import. And then this root stack param list thing is something that you have to make. So that's another thing that the documentation that is pretty plain JavaScript oriented doesn't show you for the TypeScript side. So if we go ahead and copy again from the stuff I was doing earlier, I'm just going to grab this. Basically, I think what this is all about is if you want to provide arguments to your screens, you can do it this way. So it goes by the name. See, home was red. Now that we have a home key up here, we're fine. And I'm just going to put undefined. I don't know how to specify arguments, but we just need that to be there. And then this can be root stack param list? No. How are we supposed to do that? Opening a window. Let's look at my code from earlier. Yeah, we should be able to just say props. And we're good. Okay, fine. Perfect. We'll do the same thing for the about screen. Now, what were we doing? We were trying to navigate between screens. All right. So now that we have this navigator object, we can do that. We can say navigation.navigate. And we'll give it the name that we specified down in the router here, the about screen. And we also have to put that into our params list. So that should do it. Let's see if it works. About us, no big deal. Good. Okay. So that's over half the topics I wanted to look at, I think. So we can navigate now. We can click buttons. That's a start. One other thing that I thought was cool was managing state in these little function guys using React hooks, right? So if you extend React component, this would be the render function, and then you would also be able to use things like the constructor or component did mount, component did unmount to put in things to happen when the component is ready after it rendered, all that stuff. The two hooks that I learned about today, the hooks are where you can dial into that stuff without actually extending the class. So one hook is obviously you want access to, not obviously, sorry, but you want access to the state of this component, but you don't want to extend the class because that's a pain. So you can use the useState hook. So let's say we wanted to have about text as part of our state. We can do that, and we can say equals useState, and it's going to import from React that useState hook. Actually, I think there's a way to do it this way, but I don't really like it. I think you're supposed to do state and set state. So it gives you those two functions. Well, the function and the object. And then here is where you can set up your state nice and normal. So if you wanted about text, you can give it an initial value. And then, sorry, my voice is so messed up. Then down here we can print it. So we could say state.aboutText. Hopefully I didn't get that backwards. So there we go, initial value. So that's how you set something. Well, that's how you set initial state. What if we wanted to change that state? We could do a button. At this point, I'm assuming I'm just talking to myself. If you say you're still watching, I don't know if I believe you. But yeah, we could do set state. we could set this up like this, and we can change the state when we press the button. So we'll say, yeah, because it is pretty exciting. That's it. Oh, we need a title for this. Absolutely click. Click me now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's setting state. What if we wanted to save something for later in this app? We want persistence. There's this thing called async storage. React Native. It used to be built in. But as I've learned, see, it says deprecated. I guess you can still use it, but you shouldn't. So let's go right over to the good stuff. There should be a community version of this. But of course it doesn't come up. React Native community async storage. Yeah, here it is. But I think this also says that it's deprecated, so you have to go to this. It's like a witch hunt. And finally, we have to head to the documentation. Okay. Now we can actually install this async storage thing, and it should work quite well. So we add it in. And what I want to do is store something in the about screen. So let's set up a button while that's installing. Actually, it's done, but whatever. And we'll do title, store something, on press. We'll have a function, and we will, let's see, let's read the docs. We'll import async storage. And now that we have that, we can do a little async function. Oops, that's the wrong button. Yeah, so we'll make our handler for the button async, and then we can just do await async storage.setItem. The key is my key, a great value that is not encrypted. Keep that in mind. So don't put sensitive stuff in here unless you encrypt it first. I guess the try catch is a good move. Although it doesn't look like, oh, it did seem like it threw an error if you didn't have it. I don't know. I guess we should handle that, right? But whatever. We set my key. Okay. So that, if that goes without an error, I'm going to call this a win. And then we got to figure out how to get it back. So we click to do something. We click me now, it does that. We click this. I don't see any errors. Right? We're good. Okay. Now on the home screen, in a totally different place, let's see if we can get that back. So this is where the hooks come in again. So remember, component did mount, component did unmount. Those are hooks for when the rendering is complete. And both of those are folded into useEffect, which is a hook where you can pass a function to run when the component is ready. So for our useEffect, see, there was a trick to this. I forget what it was. You have to be careful setting the state in useEffect because it can cause an infinite loop, because right when you set the state, it refreshes the component, re-renders it, which causes it to call useEffect when it's done rendering, which causes it to change the state, which causes it to use useEffect, which it keeps going. Actually, I don't think we need useEffect here. Yes, we do. We're going to use an effect. Effect is short for side effect, I think, which is it's the name they give it when you do something after rendering. Either way, we can do getItem, which is an async method. So we're going to kick off getItem, my key, .then, which is a promise. So when this async function is complete, we're going to run this function that takes value as an argument, and we're going to set state. Whoa, what happened? First of all, whoa. That's crazy. I guess I lost it. Whoa, come on. Okay, that's better. So we're getting the key. It's async because this could be slow, I guess. We don't have a state here yet, so we can use our same thing we used up here, where we get the state and the set state equals useState, which is super convenient. And then for our state, we're going to say home screen extra loading. So we will display that below the button in a text, and it's going to say state dot home screen extra. Beautiful. Loading. That's totally great. If we come back up here after we get the item, my key, and we get the value, we're going to change the state. So we're just going to use set state home screen extra. I just got this. Oh, if you use the backticks, you can use templates in JavaScript, which is super cool. I just got this value. Aha! So it worked. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So that is that's what I learned this week. It took me a lot longer to figure this out than it did for me to show you. So hopefully it saves you some time. If you're still watching, again, I don't believe you, but that's about it. So for me, I liked creating a components folder, and I had a screens folder within that. Oh, my voice is nasty, sorry. Home screen, and we can just move this guy in there, but honestly I'm not going to go much further because I've showed what I need to show. One other thing, I guess the styles is kind of cool. So you can do this in every file. You just import style sheet from React, and then you basically seem to be able to specify just about anything in HTML. So if we want to say we want to apply a style to this button right here, actually let's do these buttons, both of these. We're going to apply a little padding, right? So let's say padded buttons. It can be any name. It's like a class name, right, in CSS. And then we're going to say margin 10. I think it must be independent pixels, like DP, same as Android and iOS, right? There's no unit, which is nice. You don't have to worry about that. I guess it's taken care of. Probably wrong to assume. And then we can go up to here and we'll say style. Oh, one thing is that you can't apply styles. See, there's another thing that I learned today. You can't apply styles to buttons directly. They don't have a style. So we will say my button, or we could say styled button, and we're going to have our own component, export default function, styled button. And we'll give it a props interface. Takes nothing for now. And a styled button, all that is just a, again, don't do div. You can do the empties, that's fine, but don't do div. And then if you go in here, we'll return a view. We really don't need them because the view's wrapping everything. And then we could say style equals props.style. I mean, we don't have to have a separate component for this, but it's a good example of how to do it, I guess. So we have a view with props.style, and then we have a button inside of it. Yeah, I'm not going to do a separate component, but that was fun anyway. So I'm just going to discard that. And those buttons we wanted to style over here, we're just going to have to wrap them in views. Ooh. View. There we go. And we'll do this guy inside the view, and then we just have to add the style to the view. So style equals, and remember we're using this style object down here, so we could do styles dot, here's styles, here's padded buttons. So let's see if that has any effect. For the first one, yep, it's padded, which is great. We'll do the same thing for the second guy. Oh no. Oh yes, there we go. the button inside the view. Give it a style. What are you doing? And like magic. I'm not sure how to make it stay on a screen. It always, whenever I hit save, it goes back to the home screen. But that's for another day. Yeah, that's it. That's what I learned this week about React. Yeah, store something. Hope you enjoyed. That's all I got. Thanks. Bye. Adios. Goodbye. See ya. Later.